Hi, my name is Tiffany, better known as Mother of Serpents. I wanted to do an episode kind of breakdowning what I've learned about pink crested geckos. Um, so, to start off with things, there's a lot of people in the community that either doesn't understand the difference between red and pink base, or a lot of people in the community that wants to sell red bases as pinks. And everyone who knows about pinks knows they're kind of more rare to come by than like your red base and other morphs. And when I first started keeping, that's what I'm obsessed with. Like, that's what I wanted to create. I knew as soon as I got my first true pink, not Fringe Morphs true pink, but just a pink, that's what I wanted to work with. So I own a Fringe Morph True Pink. I own Fringe Morph Lineage through a True Pink Fringe Morphs. And I own a few Redler pink bases, and I own 2 Hypo pink bases. And in this episode, I want to break down the difference between Redler pink and Hypo pink, because Hypo pinks, in my opinion, besides the True pinks from Fringe Morphs, are some of the nicest pinks, because they fire down almost to a lavender. Like, if you see a lavender fired down, they have that purplish gray hue, and then they fire up pink. And then with Redler pinks, they usually fire down like a tan color, like a very tan, pale, like flesh color, and then fire up darker pink, like a rusty pink. So I have pictures and everything of, I'm going to use my own geckos as examples. I'll show you the difference between the Redler pinks fired up and fired down, what to look for. I'll show you my pink Fringe Morph Lineage Gecko, fired up, fired down, and I'll show you my true pink Crested Gecko from Fringe Morphs, fired up and fired down. So there's been quite a few geckos that I have bought from pink lineage that have ended up turning red base. And now I'm not saying that if you go and you buy a pink Crested Gecko, like pink lineage Crested Gecko, that you can't get pinks out of it, because I know that with genetics, it's very based on the parents. And if you breed that gecko, just because it's a red base, doesn't mean that it won't produce pinks. But for me, I didn't want to go that route. I wanted to do true pink, fired up pink, to make more pinks. So you can do that. But I have had a few that I bought young that turned red. And then they're no longer in my breeding projects because of that. Because I want to go with visual instead of think of it like het. They're not hets, but they come from that lineage. So just because their parents are pink means that they can probably pass it on. Just not visually on that gecko you bought. So what I don't agree with is people in the community selling reds as pink bases just because they fire down pink. Just because your gecko fires down pink doesn't mean that it doesn't, if it fires up red, if it fires up dark, then you have a red based gecko. You don't have a pink based gecko. And buying them young is very risky because it's almost like a 50-50 shot. And I've learned that over the year that I've been keeping. I've done a lot of research on the Fringe Morphs article. If you like pinks, I highly suggest going and reading all about their True Pink line and what they did to achieve that and the difference. I mean, they're very pricey, but there's a reason why, because they're super, super rare. And something that I'm passionate about is pinks, so I kind of wanted to do this episode to kind of show the difference, because I've had so many people message me and tell me that they don't understand pinks, and not a lot of people work with pinks because of the hit rate or how rare it is to actually come across them. I've noticed. I mean, there is a few people in the community that does, but it's, I wanted to do it just because I love pink. We get that. And you guys can do a shot for every time I say pink and see how that lasts. You're going to hear a lot of me saying the word pink in this episode. So basically, I'm going to go ahead and bring up some pictures here. So the first one I'm going to show is the lineage of Cupid, which is my fringe morph lineage, true pink gecko. I don't know if I would consider him true pink. I basically consider him just like a normal pink. I wouldn't consider him like his mother. His mom was a true pink from Fringe Morphs, and her name is Bubblegum from Gecko Chick, Susie. And Cupid's grandmother, which is this Gecko, is Mary from Fringe Morphs. And if you know anything about paints, you know who she is. Okay, so here's a picture of him when I first got him. Here's a picture of him fired down. And here's a picture of him fired up. So you can see the kind of difference. You see how he's more like a beige tan color fired down. And when he fires up, he's like a salmony orangey color. I wouldn't consider him being like a true pink. And I'll show you the difference between that. But he's not a red base. Okay, so there's that example. My next example is a gecko that I got from Warbear. She is a pink base Dalmatian pattern, so like Harley Quinn. And this is her and her sister. I had her sister, which has now went to one of my best friends, but her lineage comes from Kate's Colorful Crusties, and also MP Crusties. So this is her base color when she's completely fired down. Here is her and her sister semi-fired up. And this is her fully fired up. I need to take some new photos of her fully fired up. She hardly ever fully fires up, so it's kind of hard. She's much bigger now. But kind of like, here's your standard of your normal pinks is what I call this. This is not hypo pink. This is not true pink from Fringe Morphs pink. This is just your standard pink base. Okay. And if you get any geckos that fire up darker than this, they're not considered a pink base. That's a red base. Just because your gecko fires down pink doesn't mean that it's a pink base. In my eyes, pink base is pink fired up too. So just maybe like a darker pink or more salmony, like salmony orange. That's your normal pink bases when they fire up. They get darker, but not red dark. Okay. So here's an example of a true pink from Fringe Morphs. This is Heartstrings. This was my dream gecko, and I could tell as soon as I opened the box the difference. There's never been a pink gecko or pink base gecko, true pink, anything that I've ever gotten from the hub that I opened and they were not dark. They were not a darker color than the photos of them fired down or anything like that. This gecko was pink when I opened the box. This gecko does not fire up red. It does not fire up dark. It is pink, fired down and fired up. This is him fully fired down, which is like a ghostly white color. This is him fully fired up. These photos are directly from Fringe Morphs. And I just got this gecko, so I don't have a lot of my own photos, but I have a few that are not the best quality, but I'll go ahead and put them up so you get kind of an idea. That's as dark as he gets. Like, he doesn't get any darker than that. He's only 15 grams, 13 grams, somewhere around that area. I would estimate he's about a year old, so there's a little bit of room for him to change, but I can already tell you he's different than any of the other ones that I've gotten. Okay, so here's an example of what someone might call or try to sell as a pink-based gecko. This is Bloody Mary. This is a red bicolor Phantom Lily White. This picture right here, would you think that's a pink gecko? I would, but she's not. Here's her fully fired up. She turns blood red. Okay? She may look pink fired down, but she is not a pink gecko. I have bred her this year, so we're going to see what comes out of it because I bred her to a hypo. Okay, so this is her fired down, semi-fire, and fully fired. She's a red-based gecko. Okay, and this is part of the episode that I want to talk about hypo pinks. Hypo pinks, in my eyes, are so much more different than your regular pink or the true pinks. because of the way they fire up and fire down. I will show you an example. This is Poltergeist, which came from Tara Lee. And this is him fully fired down. This is him fully fired up. And this is his parents. So with hypos, they fire down almost like a lavender. They have a purple hue to them, white, creamy. When he fires up, he has more of like a deep, I wouldn't say yellowy, but more of a deeper color on his lighter parts. And then he fires up pink, like he's like a dusty rose pink. Okay, and then here is Artemis, which is my hypo pink lily white. This is her fully fired down. You can see that purple on her. And this is her fully fired up. You can see how she's got that dusty rose kind of look to her, like a pink color. And then this is her semi. So she's like really pretty semi fired up and fired down, but that's as dark as she gets. She doesn't get any darker than that. So there are some examples of your hypo pink bases. And then I do have lineage for her. If you guys are interested in seeing the lineage for any of these, I can do that in a separate episode. I have not bred. Well, I have bred, but I have not produced any pink eggs yet to sort of go over. I'm going to make some episodes and videos on how the different changes from when they're hatchlings all the way up until they're older and how to tell. There is articles on Fringe Morphs that you can read because they have an article on how to tell who has the most potential to be your pinks out of your clutches and stuff. So basically what you want to do is you want to hold on to any of the lighter based ones. If your gecko is already firing up pretty dark as a hatchling, then it's not going to be a pink. So you want to hang on to those that show that tan color. So this is kind of an episode breaking down my own pink crested geckos and what I've seen. And a PSA to the breeders, please stop selling red crested geckos as pink based crested geckos, because people are going to be very disappointed whenever they get their gecko. It's going to be very sad for them. Unfortunately, I've went through this a few times. I have learned the difference. I have done extensive research on pinks now. I have learned the difference between reds, pink hypos, redler pinks, true pinks from Fringe Morphs, and what to look for. Coming from someone who wanted to start with a harder project as their first project, I would have loved to have had an informational video like this. That way I could kind of see the difference in what I'm looking at, and it probably would have saved me a little bit of money. I don't regret any of the purchases that I did, because any of the ones that ended up turning red went to great homes. And, you know, they're being used for people's red projects and stuff like that. It's just personally, I'm going for pinks, and reds are not gonna, you know, I didn't want to take that chance. So anyways, that's about it. And if you want an episode on lineage on any of the pinks I have, I added some in this one to kind of give you an idea. But that's kind of all I have right now. The rest of my pinks should be coming from my own creations. I do have Poltergeist and Bloody Mary paired this year. I'm still waiting on eggs from those. And 2026, I will be breeding Sage, which is one of the females from Warbear that I showed you in this video, and Cupid. So I'm hoping to get some pinks out of that pairing. And I would like to document the babies and the change, and the ones that I think have the potential to be pink and the ones that I think don't, and the ones, you know, kind of document on what to look for from hatching out all the way until I decide if they're going to be holdbacks or staying, you know, or selling. So, yeah, that's the episode I wanted to do on pink crested geckos. If anybody knows me, I'm obsessed with pink crested geckos, and I run the Pink Crested Gecko Club, kind of. So, if you have any questions or anything like that, reach out, and I would love to nerd out about this topic. So, I appreciate you watching, and have a good night, everybody.